Thanks for clicking. We had an interesting week in China's real estate crisis this week, with Beijing coming out with a number of financial incentives to re-prop up the real estate market in the lead-up to the 20th Party Congress. We also received news that Beijing has warned the big banks to avoid the release of any politically sensitive reports, any reports which could make President Xi look bad ahead of the 20th Party Congress.
You're warned.
Indeed, with the appointment for a third term as president number one on Xi's list of priorities, maintaining social stability is the number one concern. So what I want to do today is skip over Evergrande and instead look at Beijing's plan to re-stimulate the real estate market in the lead-up to the 20th Party Congress, and then take a look at the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party's attempt to censor any potentially negative information from coming out in the lead-up to this Congress. While President Xi is primarily focused on maintaining stability in the lead-up to this 20th Party Congress, happening in a little over a week, we'll continue to track the real estate and growing economic crisis on this channel every Friday. Click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, let's get into these financial incentives. As mentioned, Beijing has instructed its banks to get lending, to get $85 billion out into the market in an attempt to quell the real estate crisis and the growing mortgage boycotts that have plagued China for the past few months. Indeed, Beijing instructed its big banks to get 100 billion won into the real estate market, whether it be through new mortgages, loans to real estate developers, or purchases of the bonds from these troubled real estate developers.
You know I'm good for it.
While Chinese banks have been reluctant to lend out money to these troubled real estate developers, for obvious reasons, news that they were being forced to lend the money sent the markets upward. In addition to the $85 billion the banks have been instructed to lend out, Beijing is allowing 20 cities to lower mortgage rates in an attempt to bring buyers back to the table. Finally, China came out with new tax incentives to get buyers buying again, designed to entice recent home sellers to purchase new homes. So, Chinese banks have been instructed to get $85 billion into the real estate market as soon as possible. Mortgage rates have been cut across 20 different cities, and China is providing new tax incentives for the sellers of homes to buy new homes. However, Craig Botham, chief China economist at Pantheon Macroeconomics in London, said the enticements will not be enough to turn around the market this late in the game. Rates and other restrictions have been eased several times already this year, with little discernible uplift to mortgage borrowing. Botham added that it's not really a demand problem in China. It's not a problem of a lack of access to financing. It's a confidence problem, driven in large part by the real estate defaults, the boycotts, and the weak economy that we've seen over the past year. As we've talked about on this channel before, in China, when home buyers buy these new builds, they have to start paying their mortgage before they even get to move into the property, before they receive ownership of their home. With some homebuyers having to wait upwards of 10 years to get their homes, it's understandable that no amount of cheap money is going to entice them to get back into the market. I don't think you or I would pay even 1% interest to the banks if we didn't have confidence that the builder was going to provide us with the home.
Why not?
However, it's not clear that these reforms, that these financial incentives, are even intended to turn around the real estate market, but rather they're intended to maintain social stability and not embarrass President Xi in the lead-up to the 20th Party Congress.
You want to embarrass me, make a fool out of me?
The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, has been actively attempting to ensure that social stability is maintained, that no news of problems gets out ahead of this meeting. And we saw this week when news came out that they had instructed major banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, to avoid the publishing of any politically sensitive material ahead of the upcoming summit. By politically sensitive, Beijing means any mentions of its zero COVID policy or of its real estate crash. While such instructions to the big banks are not out of the norm in China, they usually come when China wants to prevent market disruption, not to avoid embarrassing the president so close to the 20th Congress. So between the financial incentives, which will not be enough to turn around the market, to reinstill confidence into Chinese homebuyers, and the instructions to the big banks to avoid publishing anything that could embarrass President Xi, clearly everything is intended right now to ensure a smooth transition to President Xi getting his third term as president. The $85 billion in forced lending on behalf of the banks, the lower mortgage rates, and the tax incentives will do very little to stem the tide of China's growing real estate crisis. All of this has been intent on ensuring stability in the lead up to this 20th Party Congress, which is set to occur in a little over a week. We'll obviously continue to have updates out on China's real estate crisis on this channel every Friday, especially in the lead up to this 20th Party Congress. Click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, thanks so much for watching.